There's a little known hack to stop scooping and flipping at the moment of impact. And in this video, special guest Tyler McGee and myself are going to show you exactly what to do to get out of this position. Let's get stuck in. All right, big fella, so let's talk about the correlation between flipping and rotation at the moment of impact, right? So we see a lot of players be very under-rotated through the golf ball. Chest might be back behind the golf ball and up specifically. Pelvis would be thrusted towards the ball here, and then the handle would be back of the head.
Yes.
Versus the professional, well, we would see that the hips would be more rotated, the chest slightly open to the golf ball, and then you can see that the handle is in front of the head, right? So talk to me about the specifics relative to those two from your perspective.
Yeah, like a really easy way to think about it is if you're a player that's coming in like this, chest staying closed too long, hips staying closed too long, this lead hand is going to start decelerating a lot too soon, and then that trail hand's trying to make up for it, right? So it's like, okay, how am I going to find the ball? Well, this is stopping. I got to go with something, and then you see that trail hand take over. Yeah, exactly. Which can cause a whole bunch of issues that you don't want to deal with. So the idea behind this one is just finding ways to keep the hands accelerating longer, which is going to help the chest. Obviously, what pulls the hand? Well, the rotation of the body. So a really easy way to think about it is if I'm going here, if I'm trying to take my hands, or I could use my hands and they're going to move closer to my lead leg, and see how that's going to move my body into a different position just with that intent. And obviously if you're going this way too much, that hand sort of back here on your trail leg, well, what's it like to get it closer to the lead leg? If you're an over-the-top player, maybe not the best feel, but if you're someone that's stuck back here and not rotating, probably a pretty good one.
Correct. And I think if you're an over-the-top player and you're getting into this position, still at the end of the day, the handle's going to be back. Usually we're just going to see the chest and the hips are too open. So this is more specifically for a player who might be getting a little bit too stuck.
Exactly.
Everything's a little bit too closed off. And then they're
flipping it.
Yeah, they're getting more of these, let's say, push and hooks, and they would probably really struggle hitting irons. Low point might be behind, and then they're getting this sort of domey, hooky ball flight, right? So this player specifically, their feel from the top of their swing is that they're trying to get the hands closer to the lead hip as they swing down. That's what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what that does is basically we're trying to get the lead hand accelerating longer so the trail hand can be a little bit more passive, versus the other way where the trail hand, if I sort of stop it, if the trail hand stops there, then you see how active the lead hand stops there. The trail hand has to be so active to find the ball.
So doing a single-handed drill here would be an effective way as well?
It's a great, if you do lead hand only, it would change it instantly.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the thing. And a lot of the time when players do just use one hand, a lot of the smaller pieces that are important for good ball striking happen naturally due to the effect of players trying to control the weight of the golf club. This thing is really heavy if I'm not in the right position and I don't have any load or hinge on the golf club with my wrist, right? So as I pivot my body back and I simply just have the intent of swinging down, what happens for me to support the weight of the club? Well, all of a sudden, I'm feeling like that lead hand has to move into that position where it's close to the lead hip. It's coming down more in front of my body, and we can see now we're in a great spot if I chuck that trail hand on.
Yeah.
Whereas if let's say I'm going to drag this thing back, that feels like 300 kilos, and then I'm from this position here, due to the fact that I haven't moved properly, try and have an attempt at hitting the golf ball. It's just this fly swatting motion down there, right?
Exactly.
So that single-handed movement gives us the feeling of creating some hinge, then moving down into a position where I'm getting rotated, my pressure is shifting forward. I really like how my hands have unloaded in front of my chest and then coming through. Any additional sort of comments on that little movement pattern there?
Yeah, I would go the step 2 to that once they get used to the feel of the hand moving longer. So I want it to accelerate, but I do still want it to decelerate post-impact. So the idea that you can get the lead hand feeling like it's pulling a little bit harder, but then stopping a little bit. So some, like a quick
hit
stop.
hard, stop
Yeah,
quick.
hit and stop kind of deal.
So it kind of look like this.
So we get a little more lead hand pull, and then we stop it. Yeah, exactly. So it's especially for players that aren't used to the timing of when the club stops. I've seen it before where they throw it this way and then they actually pull the hands through, right? So that's not ideal. So we want to accelerate the hands, but then stop them, and then we get that burst of club speed, and obviously low point's going to change a lot.
Yeah, little things like turning the golf club upside down, as we demonstrated in a previous video, and just trying to match everything up. And I think for this player who is getting very underneath it and the hand path going way out to the right there, this sensation that the awareness that the lead hand's kind of moving down towards the lead hip, and then they're stopping quick with this whoosh, we can see everything's a lot more rotated and left through the ball.
Yeah, and another thing that sometimes happens too with the idea that the handles are going to move a little bit more aggressively this way, it actually sometimes can actually pull the head more behind them versus someone that's stopping the hand can throw it out, and then, okay, the club head's going this way. Well, now I don't really have incentive to rotate, where if I get the hand going, now the club head's behind me, well, I have a lot more incentive to keep going through impact.
And I think it just works up the kinematic chain, and then before you know it, you've got this beautiful, powerful whipping motion down at the moment of impact that a lot of players don't have.
Right, exactly.
They're losing and expending all their energy back here, and especially for this player that's not getting enough rotated, this is an incredible feel of how to get more of that movement through impact, where the hips and the chest would be more rotated, but more importantly, that it is sequenced in a way where the hands are in front of the body, allowing them to get that club coming back and then striking the ball there, mate. So
exactly.
I'll map that feeling out once more, and I'm going to do it nice and slow, just with my lead hand starting off there. Yeah, that feels great. And I can just, supporting the weight of the club, trail hand is obviously not in that active position from there. Let's groove that back in and knock one down there. Yeah, beautiful.
Awesome.
Even a little hold off, little cut there.
Yeah, I like it. Good job, man.